In this module, we turn AI governance from policy language into day-to-day execution. Clear roles, decision rights, approval gates, lifecycle accountability, and evidence. The goal is an operating model that supports ISO 42001 implementation and audit readiness. We've built the foundation. ISO IEC 42001's purpose, management system structure, scope, inventory, controls, risk, and impact. Now we use that analysis to define how governance actually works. Who is accountable, who decides, which policies apply, and how the work gets done. That sets us up for regulatory alignment next. An AI management system only works when governance becomes routine. Policies define intent. The operating model turns that intent into repeatable action. It clarifies who owns each risk, which decisions require approval, what evidence must be captured, and when issues must be escalated. Without that structure, governance can become scattered across data science, architecture, security, legal, and business teams. With it, everyone works from the same playbook. For ISO IEC 42001, this is essential because certification depends on traceability, showing how requirements become controls, how controls operate in delivery, and how evidence proves accountability over time. At a practical level, an AI governance operating model does four things. It assigns clear accountability for the system, the model, the data, the risk, and the response when something goes wrong. It defines decision rights, so approvals, risk acceptance, releases, and retirements are not handled informally. It builds lifecycle gates into intake, design, development, deployment, monitoring, and decommissioning. And it preserves operational evidence showing that controls are working, requirements are met, and lessons are improving the process. The goal is governance that runs with delivery, not beside it. Good AI governance depends on knowing exactly who owns each decision. The AI system owner carries end-to-end accountability for business purpose, lifecycle controls, risk posture, and whether the system remains suitable over time. The model owner focuses on performance, known limitations, validation, and controlled changes. The data owner is accountable for quality, lineage, access, rights, retention, and representativeness. Risk and compliance leaders make sure risks are treated or accepted properly, regulations are mapped, and ISO 42001 evidence is maintained. Shared work is fine. Accountability must be explicit. No single role governs an AI system alone. As the system moves from intake through design, validation, release, monitoring, and retirement, different specialists add control. The solution architect translates policy and risk requirements into practical design choices, controls, and integration standards. The validation team provides independent evidence that the model is fit for use, including robustness, safety, fairness, and security. The human oversight owner defines when people must review, override, or escalate decisions. The incident response owner ensures failures are contained, investigated, communicated, remediated, and documented. RACI is a simple way to remove ambiguity from AI governance. For every major decision, name one accountable owner, the person who ultimately says yes, no, or not yet. Then identify who is responsible for doing the work, such as analysis, testing, documentation, and implementation. Bring in consulted experts early, including legal, security, privacy, ethics, and affected business teams, so risks are understood before decisions harden. Finally, define who must be informed, so escalation, transparency, and operational readiness are not left to chance. The value is clear decision rights, not more bureaucracy. Decision rights make governance practical by separating authority. Engineers may decide whether a model meets technical performance standards, but they should not alone accept legal, ethical, or business risk. Business owners judge value and operational fit. Compliance teams interpret regulatory obligations. Risk leaders decide whether remaining exposure is acceptable. As risk increases, approval authority should move upward, and unresolved issues need a clear escalation path. Every decision should leave an audit trail. Who approved it, why, under what conditions, and what evidence supported the choice. Approval gates turn AI governance into a series of controlled decisions, rather than one review at the end. At intake, the organization confirms the business purpose, users, stakeholders, and initial risk level. Before model selection, teams justify sourcing choices and check whether the model is suitable for the intended context. Data readiness tests quality, lineage, permissions, privacy, security, and representativeness. Release gates confirm that controls, validation evidence, thresholds, and ownership are in place. Monitoring gates keep accountability active after deployment, so issues trigger review, remediation, or retirement when needed. The intake gate comes before an AI use case moves into design. Its purpose is not to slow innovation, but to make sure the initiative is understood. Teams capture the intended purpose, business value, user groups, affected stakeholders, and decision context. They also flag whether outcomes could affect rights, access, safety, money, jobs, health, or legal status. Just as importantly, ownership is assigned early across the system: risk, data, architecture, and compliance areas. The gate then decides whether to approve, require rework, escalate, or trigger a full impact assessment. Once intake is complete, 3 suitability gates should be cleared before anyone builds or buys a model. First, confirm the data is fit for purpose, including quality, lineage, consent, licensing, retention, access, and representativeness. Second, confirm the model choice matches the risk, including its type, source, explainability, limitations, training needs, and vendor dependencies. Third, confirm the architecture can operate safely, with logging, monitoring, API security, human oversight, fallback paths, and isolation. For foundation models, third-party models, or high-impact decision systems, the rationale should be explicit and documented. These gates prevent teams from discovering basic suitability problems after commitments are already made. Release readiness is the final decision gate before an AI system moves into production. The team confirms that each residual risk has either been treated or formally accepted by the right risk owner. Then they verify the evidence: model performance, robustness, fairness, security, privacy, explainability, and human oversight testing. Readiness also depends on operational safeguards, including monitoring thresholds, rollback plans, escalation paths, and user communications. The result is not always a simple approval or rejection. It may be conditional, with documented limits, evidence links, owners, and review dates. Governance does not end at launch. Once an AI system is in production, monitoring becomes the control loop. Teams track performance, drift, data quality, fairness indicators, security events, user behavior, and operational failures. When signals cross defined thresholds, they are treated as incidents or near misses, not surprises. Triage determines severity, escalation path, response owner, and required evidence. Remediation may include rollback, model update, user communication, or policy change. Finally, every major change raises a lifecycle question: improve, continue under controls, or retire the system safely. AI policy only matters when it changes how teams work. Start by turning broad requirements into enforceable architecture standards and reusable design patterns. Then embed those requirements into everyday workflows, from development and MLOps to data governance, security review, procurement, and incident response. Templates make the work repeatable: model cards, data sheets, risk registers, impact assessments, and architecture decisions. Evidence should be captured as the work happens, including approvals, test results, monitoring logs, exceptions, and corrective actions. That trail is what turns governance from intention into audit-ready proof. The key lesson is that ISO 40001 becomes real only when policy is translated into daily AI delivery. Roles create accountability. Decision rights and approval gates control movement through the lifecycle. Standards, MLOps, workflows, checklists, and evidence make governance repeatable. Next, we connect this operating model to regulatory and standards alignment, so decisions map to external obligations.